everyone, and welcome to the second ever episode of FaceCheck. I didn't think it was possible, but we're able to do it. I'm DGon, I'm here with Dom and Loco to bring you this week's LCS action. Talk about things League of Legends and esports. Guys, how's it going?
Well, I have to get up early to talk to you, so not great. How about you?
I mean, I lost like 85 games in solo queue in a row, so it's been great. But luckily, my MMR is high enough that I just can't demote out of Diamond 1, so I'm just hard stuck 0 LP for the rest of my life.
Yeah, dude, I was watching. I was like, yo, dude, this is rough. And then, like, your husband was like, whoops.
Jungle is just so fucking bad right now. Holy shit. I mean, if Russia's play didn't show enough of that, like, I don't know, man.
Yikes. That was big yikes. Yeah, I heard, I was talking to one of the coaching staff over there, and he was like, yeah, Scrim Rush showed up on stage. And I'm like, are you sure that was Scrim Rush, or is that just Rush?
Yeah, true.
All right, so let's get ourselves into the first set of topics for the day. And so we wanted to retouch on something we touched on before. We gave out our postseason awards, not rewards, awards for MVP, for Coach of the Split, and Rookie of the Split. So let's talk about those right there to start. Bam. All right, $3. Boom. LCS spring season. All right, and so guys, any surprises on the all LCS pro team for 2019 spring? I think no big surprises here in terms of your players. Licorice in the top lane, and then Smithy, Bjergsen, Double Lift, and Core JJ deserving in all those spots.
I think it was pretty inarguable. Maybe Jungle is like the only one. Dom, didn't you say Sven was better?
I mean, I think that like Santorin is like really fucking good right now, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's probably the best jungler. It's just that his team is so much worse than the other teams, like the top three, that I feel like you just can't put him there because it's kind of like an unknown factor. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, his team is bad. Like, how good would he look on a real team? You know, Who knows?
And it feels like that's why he would get votes. Yeah, FlyQuest isn't that bad. They're top 4. They're definitely top 4, but you could definitely.
They're top 4, but I think they're by far the weakest out of the top 4.
Yeah. They're by far. But I feel like that's why you could push a little bit harder for a player like that. I think there's a precedent set when Lyra got voted in like a couple years ago. Envy sucked.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that it's a lot harder now because that was different meta, right? Like, especially as a jungler right now, like it's super team centric. That was before crab meta. As soon as crab meta comes into play, like, priority is the most important thing in the game, right? If all your lanes lose, how the fuck do you ever get a level of lead? You're just down at camp all the time. So like right now the game is so team based. I think that the postseason, like the all pro teams or whatever, those just show how team based the game is. Because do you honestly believe that in the league 14 out of the 15 best players are on the top 3 teams? Like, is that actually the skill distribution of the league, or is it just like, oh, when you win you just look so much better than when you lose?
Okay. Who would you have that's outside of the 15?
I mean, I would have to like think about it and give you like better like options, but you don't know how good players that like you don't know how good Bang is, right? How do you know how good Bang is? Can you say definitively he's not close to a top 3 player in the league?
For sure, that one I actually agree with you on, because I think AD is actually one of those positions where if you don't have a lot of agency and when your support does nothing and your mid and jungle suck, then it's really hard for Bang to actually do something and look good.
Yeah, so like how can you know the skill of players when the game is so team reliant? I feel like these pro teams are just like, who's on the best teams? Oh, they're the best team. Okay, well, they're gonna have players in the top. I mean the top. I mean, that's how it's always been, but that's why I don't put like too much value on things like that, because it's pretty much just like when you win, you're there, right? Like when I played in 2015 summer, that's when they started their awards or whatever. And I got all pro second team, and it was like, oh, I got all pro second team because my team was in first place. So like we had 2 people first team, 2 people second team, and then 1 player didn't make it. But like in general, it's like, oh, was that my best split? Probably not. Like season 4, I probably played better, but it's just like when you're on a 6th place team,
no one's gonna give you the props.
Yeah, no one's ever gonna fucking vote you in. So it's just
there's something I want to call out. So the clutch coach put Broken Blade first, McCrack, and Broken Blade won with 5-point difference over Haunter. So there's some people troll voting and actually affecting awards. I think it's actually so bullshit, because this is probably like one of the only ways you can get recognized as a player. Like if you're team didn't do well, but you individually did do well. I mean, this season we're talking about 14 out of 15 being from top 3 though. But like, imagine like this voting affected someone like not getting the award when like if they really worked hard for it and or they were outside of the burst and their team wasn't doing well. So I just don't understand why coaches would troll vote. I understand why somewhat player would, but coaches troll voting for this shit is, I think, really fucking bad.
Well, how do you know that he was troll voting? I mean, did he go on Twitter or whatever? Maybe he honestly, I mean, he is Clutch Gaming's coach. Maybe he honestly thought that Broken Blade was better than Hanser.
Or what, Licorice? No, he put Broken Blade first. He didn't put him over Hanser. He put Broken Blade first. That's why I think it's troll voting.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Broken Blade's like pretty good, but I don't think you can make an argument that he was better than Licorice. Maybe
No
you
way.
can say he was better than Impact. Like that's kind of debatable. I mean, he obviously did smash Impact like pretty much both times that they played, but I don't know. I don't think that you can argue that any top laner is better than Licorice right now.
maybe,
I just don't get, like, as a coach, like, you're supposed to be, like, presentable. Like, oh, I guess this sounds weird coming from me. Like, you're supposed to be respectable. You're supposed to be presentable. Shut the fuck up, Daniel. Do your
Don't
job.
take my joke before I get to say it, Loco.
Okay. But why are you troll voting and affecting awards like this? I genuinely really do not understand.
I mean, I think it's just because the awards are just meaningless anyway. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, you don't get anything. It's not like it's like, oh, you were on one of like the all pro teams, you get some shit. No, it doesn't matter. It's just like some random fucking award.
You make it more meaningless by troll voting, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
but maybe
I think
he's
it's meaningless in the first place. Like even
Yeah.
if you did,
Yeah,
let's say you went full on and you seriously voted the whole thing,
Mhm.
and you end up with like, okay, so let's say you get 13 out of the top 15 without like the Hanser thing, and Hanser gets voted in 13 out of 15. It's still just so. I just don't believe in a world where you have this many like high profile contracts on like bad teams that there's actually that much talent discrepancy between the teams.
Mhm. Fair.
All right, I think that's all she wrote then for our MVP conversation. Let's turn to this week's LCS action, starting with the big game there in I think TSM and Echo Fox. This started off with like, what the heck? Echo Fox won a game. I think Loco said 3-0 if something happened where Echo Fox won a game, he would be surprised, and then he went way off the edge with like, if they win 2 games, they'll be crazy. If he wins 3 games, he'll like resign or something like that. But Echo Fox, the team that lost out in that playoff game against TSM, what do you guys think about that series?
You can go first, Tom.
I mean, I think it was just like rough game 1, and then they just banned Kindred and they stomped them. Like, I don't even think the Kindred was good anyway, but it essentially was just a stomp afterwards. You know, like it never really felt. After the game, it's like, oh, that was surprising from Echo Fox, and then it never felt like Echo Fox had a chance to win after that point. It was just like, okay, yeah, this is just gonna go TSM's way.
I think in game game 3, it felt like Echo Fox had a chance, and then all of a sudden Phoenix started trolling like real hard. He would just step it up.
No, that's not trolling. I thought Echo Fox side laners did better than I thought they would. Solo and Apollo Hakuo. But Phoenix and Rush were exactly who they were. It's something they didn't show in the split. In the split, they were good, but in playoffs, like you see, these are these kind of players. Like they're overly aggressive, very high ceiling, high floor players where you get a lot of up and down performance from them.
Yeah, low floor. Yeah.
Yeah, the big range there ended up being the downfall for Echo Fox and TSM. I mean, they looked good, and Bjergsen with I think it was the Zoe play in game 4. Around the Dragon Pit, he got both Apollo and Hako with 1 paddle star. Two bros, 1 paddle, like right there. Ended up winning the game around the Dragon Pit.
I mean, I think Zoe just is so broken in competitive play. That's just how it seems. Like every time that you see, I mean, the one game that Echo Fox wins, obviously Phoenix is on Zoe. You look at game 5, it's like Pobelter Zoe is like 1v9 in the game. Yep. At what point does it stop being like, damn, this is some nice Zoe play, and it starts being like, nerf this goddamn champion right now? Like, what is the breaking point there?
So I think it's almost a NA exclusive thing. I think Zoe's good in other regions too, but in NA we have so little side lane play, and we had very, very little side lane play in the FlyQuest GGS series. This one, it was better. TSM Echo Fox, it was better, but Zoe is so good when you don't play side lanes because she's not going to get flanked, and when everyone's just sitting mid or everyone's always 5v5 team fighting, Zoe is so fucking good. And I think NA makes Zoe even better because, we don't play side lanes at all.
Well, I think you bring up a pretty interesting point, in terms of nerfing Zoe, and we've seen champs get reworked, but Zoe just came out. How would you nerf Zoe? Is it just the damage, or would you rather rework Zoe because Sleepy Trouble Bubble across the map is just like annoying as heck?
I mean, I think that that's like the core of Zoe. I think the main thing that's like super super lame is the W. The W, you just get like in a team fight, right, where there's multiple flashes, you essentially just get unlimited flashes. Because if you start a team fight and then like people are flashing around, like you saw that play from Powelter mid in game 5 where he doesn't use his real flash until the end. He flashes a wall to pick up another flash and then uses that flash to miss a Q, then picks up a ghost and he ghosts to pick up another flash, and then he takes that flash, flashes over the wall, and then he uses his normal flash. He used 4 flashes in one goddamn fight. Like, there has to be longer cooldown on it, or I don't know, you just can't flash 4 times in a fight.
Can't use the same ones in a row or something like that.
It's not okay to see that type of kill go down. Like, it's just not okay in my mind. What other champion can create that type of kill in that situation?
Yeah, some of the Zoe situation is crazy, and I do think it's extreme. I think more of like maybe an internal cooldown, so you can't just use flash 3 or 4 times in a row. Like, if you use summoner spells too often, then there is some kind of internal cooldown.
Yeah. Well, so Zoe was the end of Echo Fox and their season. Let's turn our focus to those guys there. Poor Echo Fox. So we put him in. Ooh, that was the wrong one. There we go. That's the one that we're looking for. Big high production sound effects now. All right. So Echo Fox in black and white because they're dead post-mortem. Look at this team. What are your thoughts on them as a whole, their season? They're the ones that slid on into the 6th spot in front of CLG. What do you think about them, Dom, in spring 2019?
I think it's a good finish for them, to be honest. Like, I think they punched above like their weight, so to speak. Like, coming into it, I thought they would be like an 8th, 9th place team, and they ended up getting 6th and making playoffs. I think they outperformed teams that they probably should have been outperformed by. So for example, like Clutch on paper probably has a better roster than them. 100 Thieves on 100 Thieves on paper has a better roster than them. Those types of teams, I think that like them being able to beat it, that's probably the most you can get out of like the lineup that they got.
I mean, 100% agree. They were against teams that spent so much more than them, and the fact that they finished in playoffs and probably all the teams below them other than Optic spent way more than them. CLG definitely spent more. 100 Thieves, Clutch, they all spent way more, and Echo Fox was able to play 6th. Like, that alone is credit to Echo Fox. And also, I thought Solo really showed a lot of improvement this split.
He played really well the series, I thought.
I think at the start of the split, there were so many people asking for Lorlo instead of Solo.
There still are.
Yeah. I mean, that just, at a certain point, it became only Lorlo fans asking for that. At the start of it, it was a genuine conversation, like who should be starting, Solo or Lorlo? And I think it leaned slightly towards Solo, but throughout the season, as it went on and how much Solo improved, I don't think it's deniable to say, like, why the fuck should Solo be replaced? He's been playing so fucking well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the argument, I mean, Lorlo played really well in Academy too, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had like a really strong performance overall. This split, it just, Solo just played too well to make a change.
What do you think about like the older players actually getting better and improving? Because this is like Solo's 4th or 3rd year in the league, and he's been like pretty stagnant until this year.
Yeah, this is his second.
Well, like, okay, 4th or 3rd year playing competitive League of Legends. So what do you think about older players like being able to get better later in the league? Because it's something that almost never happens. I feel like older players stagnate a lot.
I mean, I think that it, like, instead of it being like older, I think it's just like when they like get onto like a different level. I feel like, let's say Solo had just been playing like LCS and he's been on like middle to bottom tier teams the whole time, I think he would have stagnated. But it's like when you make the jump from going, like, he was like on a team that was like pre-academy, and then he got like into academy. He was in academy for a long time, I think 2 or 3 years, and then he got bumped up to like Clutch, and then now he's like still playing in the league. Like, he's still in the growing process where, like, because he's being exposed to like better players and more stuff on stage, he's able to like grow during this period. Because like, yeah, sure, like technically, like based off his age, he's old, but in terms of like how much experience he has, he's kind of like one of like the newer players, I would say.
So what do you think is the age where you stop learning? Because someone that is younger than him is Lorlo. Let's use the Lorlo and Solo example here, because in traditional sports, you see guys reach a certain age and then they fall off. In the fighting game community, like, you've got the same dudes still at the top of their fighting game. Over in Dota 2, you have Fear for EG, who's retired, went to management, went to coaching, come back, and then won at like 30 plus. I think he's above 30 now. So do you think it is just a certain amount of time as a pro player, or is it like a drive thing? Is it a ceiling and it doesn't have an age? What are your thoughts?
I can answer this perfectly. So I think it's actually pretty bad to compare it to sports, because at a certain age you can't do things physically.
Right.
And for League of Legends, I don't think that's true. Like, you can do things physically. Like, you can click the button. Your reaction time, if you're consistently playing video games throughout your whole life, does not degrade that much. The thing is, League of Legends is a forever changing game. And the thing that stops you from being good is you stop wanting to put into practice in a forever changing game and learn the game every year. Like, other games like Counter-Strike and Dota 2, people can play for longer because you're playing the same game and essentially there aren't huge changes. But for League of Legends, take Jungle for an example, it's completely different from what it was last year. And it's completely different from the year before that. So you're learning a new game every single fucking year, and it makes it so stressful and it's so time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't know. I think in general, age is just like massively overstated as like something that is actually going to make you worse. I think you become worse when you stop caring as much. That's pretty much what it is. Like, I never, as a player, like, I'm 28. If I put in the work, if I like grind off stream, like, I get challenger in no time. And I don't think that has anything to do with like, it's like, oh, I'm getting older, so like I can only play certain champions. It just depends on like what the meta is and like how much I actually care about winning solo queue.
Yeah, so even for like younger players, right? If you're gonna be stubborn and you're not gonna learn new things, it's just as bad as like old players. And that's where I feel like a lot of the new and like the younger players suffer, where they pick up the game, they're good, and then the game changes and they're not willing to re-pick up the game or learn new concepts.
Yeah, I think that's how you see like massive fall offs occur. Like, for example, like, I guess like Alex Ich was a famous fall off. Like, I don't think it was really like, oh shit, he's just old and washed up or something. I think he just wanted to play the game the way he did in M5, and it's like season 4 is just completely different. Like, yep.
Well, let's talk about some other people on Echo Fox. What'd you guys think of Rush the entire season?
He was worse than I thought he would be, to be honest. I think he still like played okay, but I thought that he could have done a lot more. It's just he didn't seem like the Rush of old. It didn't seem like he took over many games at all. Like, I didn't feel like he had that many pop offs. It was more just, yeah. I think it was just like he was like there, and sometimes he would have like pretty good games, but he never like shit on anyone. It felt like.
Yeah, it never seemed like the TIP Rush that came back and was Lee Sin kicking and just taking over the game against everybody. They put him on these.
Daniel,
a lot of
chat is
Karthus.
spamming that you're muted.
No, it was.
Okay.
It's not anymore.
My bad.
So I feel like he wanted to come back and play, wanted to come back to NA, return to the good old days, and then just found like that just wasn't the case and didn't work out for him. Like, I'm sure he tried to put in the work, but again, right, scrim rush against stage rush, and I think a lot of the negative competitive play maybe got to his mental after he was over at KT, didn't get as much play time again, and he thought maybe coming back to NA it'll be easy, kind of like a Huni type situation. It didn't work out for him, and maybe he wasn't as resilient as we all thought he was.
I mean, I thought his champion pool was like really fucking stale. Like, even in this last series, like, why are you picking? I don't know if it's his decision. Yeah, like, why are you picking Jarvan into Rek'Sai every single time? Like, Jarvan's really good. I love Jarvan, but you're counterpicking yourself every single time intentionally. Like, you have to start adapting to like what's happening. So either they didn't have confidence on his Rek'Sai. They were like, oh shit, like we don't feel like we can play that. We just need like the hard engage from Jarvan or whatever, and they're just playing for that, or there was some like incompetence that he just like wasn't able to play Rek'Sai well in scrims. Like he would get behind in matchups that he shouldn't, so they just don't have confidence in that situation. But in like at least from my perspective, there has to be some reason why like that champion pool looks like that, or like he's playing Jarvan so much in so many bad matchups.
Isn't Rek'Sai one of Russia's better champions? He played it when he was on TIP and Cloud9. Like, it was one of his better champions, too. So I'm surprised he didn't pick Rek'Sai.
I never felt like that, to be honest. I felt like he was always more of like a Lee Sin player than a Rek'Sai player. I feel like Rek'Sai's lack of playmaking ability kind of like hurt Rush. I always felt like Rush was stronger on champions that could do flashy things and like had like higher levels of execution, whereas Rek'Sai is more just about pathing. Like the whole champion is just pathing and knowing which gank angles to take. So I never felt like he was like the best Rek'Sai, but I don't think that means that he like can't play it or he couldn't play it if he put in a lot of time. I feel like Rek'Sai is the type of champion though that he would not want to put time into himself. Like he just views it as like a boring champion or something.
So when he was on TIP, so I used to duo with him a little bit, and then he was talking to me about Rek'Sai, and then he was talking to me about squeezing out every little thing, like how he does after he knocks up people. Instead of doing auto Q, he recognized that a lot of times you don't get 3 hits, and it's better to just do Q hit than like trying to go for auto Q for the reset. Like he actually put a lot of time into that champion back when he was on TIP, and he was talking to me about like the little issy parts of it. So I'm sure he put the time in. I was just so surprised he didn't play it. And he's also a really smart player, so I'd imagine he can pick up champions really easily. It seems like he became really stubborn when he came to NA.
Yeah,
I think that maybe those champions didn't function with his team.
Yeah.
Like you can play Rek'Sai, but it's like, do we have hard engage? Like who's going to start the fight then? And maybe they just weren't able to find engage from other places.
Well, for as much as he's played a lot or whatever in practice and put in the time, only 7 games in his career on Rek'Sai. Most of them were Lee Sin, and then obviously J4 duty, but 7 games, 3 and 4, and they were back. Most of them were back in 2015 when it first came out. So it was old Rek'Sai.
What did you guys think of Phoenix? I mean, me and Dom both worked with Phoenix.
It's just Phoenix. That is literally just that whole series was Phoenix. That sums up Phoenix.
So throughout the regular season, I actually thought he was, maybe Phoenix is fixing his problems. Maybe he won't be like the Phoenix because he stopped getting caught out. He had all his strengths and he stopped getting caught out in lane. He was still getting caught in side lanes, just not as badly as he used to. So I thought he was starting to fix his problems. And then during playoffs, I felt like he lost all progress and he went back to what he normally was.
Which is high ability to kill you, but more than likely than not losing it and then starting to end after he loses the first one. Because that's just what it looked like from a viewer's perspective.
I mean, I think a lot of what Phoenix wants to be the one that makes the play, like on a team. And I feel like in a series like that where like it looks like they're losing control, he's just gonna like want to do more. He's like a type of player that wants to leave it all on the rift type thing, you know? He doesn't want to roll over and die or have those performances where he's just kind of like sitting back farming and then nothing happens and they just like lose, get out macro. I feel like he just wants to make the play, but it's almost a fault where he'll go over aggressive in situations just because he needs to have that like influence on the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think Phoenix has complete disrespect for enemy junglers and enemy team in a split push situation, and in laning, like disrespect for enemy jungler. And that is just descriptive of Phoenix, and I think that's the Phoenix we got. I think Song and Tyler, the 2 coaches of Echo Fox, did a lot of work during the regular season to try to reel him back. But yeah, all that work went all away.
Do you think it's him going up against a mid laner in Bjergsen that he thinks he's better than or can be as good as, and then looks around and is like, my team is not as good, I'm just going to press, and just kind of like gets in his mental that way based off of a matchup?
I think it's really a hard argument to make that Phoenix is as good as Bjergsen, and at this point, he probably knows it too. Like, Bjergsen won how many trophies compared to Phoenix? It is you're fucking kidding to yourself if you are telling, I am better than Bjergsen. It's probably he's up against a hard opponent and it's playoff, and he's regressing the progress that he made and going back to his normal habits.
Yeah, I mean, I know from playing with Phoenix, he actually thinks Bjergsen's like super, super good. He has a lot of respect for Bjergsen, so I don't think it would be that. I think it's more just him playing against somebody who's really good, and he just wants to like. It's hard to play super disciplined when you're playing against somebody who's also like super disciplined but just better than you overall.
Yeah,
like it almost feels like you're just always gonna lose. if you play their game. So he wants to just do something different, which I guess is regressing into crazy Phoenix.
All right, let's move down to the bottom side of the map then. Those guys, Apollo and Hako, I think, acquitted themselves pretty well against this top bot lane of Sven and Smoothie. Thoughts on them?
Apollo, I think, actually developed really, really nicely throughout the season. Not to say Hako didn't develop, but I think this was one of Apollo's best split because he's always been just there. But this split, I actually felt Apollo being there, and he carried a lot of crucial team fights for Echo Fox.
Yeah, Apollo's actually really good. I feel like if you put him on a really good team right now, he'd be ready and like play well. But he's just one of those players that I feel like he's been playing for so long, and his improvement has been very slow. But I feel like he's always improved. Like there was never a point where I was like, damn, he's regressing. He's always getting better and better and better. And now I think he's super, super solid as an AD carry, but it's really hard to like carry a game from AD when you're mid and jungle or inting. It just is what it is. Like,
at least Dom knows.
Yeah, like if the mid and jungle ints, it's over. And that's pretty much what happened this series. I mean, did you see Russia's stat line? It was like 220 and 22 or something.
That's rough.
And that's with Jarvan, where you throw a flag and you get 5 assists. So
is that why Piglet couldn't carry on TL?
No, actually we had the opposite problem where it's like the mid and jungle. It's really hard for the mid and jungle to carry when your AD's inting. So.
I see. Or when your AD's calling for jungle 24/7 bottom.
Well, I mean, even calling for jungle when you're 40 CS behind Sneaky's Draven and Gauntlet, it doesn't matter.
Well, he wouldn't have been 40 CS behind if the frickin' jungler was there to put some pressure and probably gank every now and then.
Nice though would have been 40 CS behind.
Nice would have been 40.
That's what it is.
When
it turns out that Vayne is actually not that good into Draven.
Oh, really?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because Clutch thinks otherwise and still wants to build a roster around that same guy.
Yeah, Dom. But what if you have a world championship skin on Vayne?
I mean, like as much of a ego boost as that is, I don't know if that makes the champion do more damage or like be able to auto trade with the Draven in lane. But who knows? I mean, maybe if we keep on picking like Vayne Morgana into Braum Draven, we'll eventually win that series.
Maybe you can tumble out of a few autos.
Yep.
All right.
Fucking kill me.
Thanks, Piglet. I wanted to go back to Apollo Hako because you guys are high on Apollo and not as high on Hako. Not that you're down on him. Do you think that they are better than their sum of their parts, as in they're better as a duo, or you truly think you could swap out Apollo for like Sneaky later on and it would be a drop off, but he would still be serviceable for a team like Cloud9?
Apollo would be serviceable, but it's not like they have bad synergy. They've just been playing so long. At this point, like their synergy is at the fucking maximum. They're, I think, the longest standing bottom duo right now in NA.
Yeah. No, they're solid. I mean, Hakuho is the type of player where it looks like he's really proficient mechanically. Like if you tell him if you gank bot or something, you're like, okay, like let's go. Like he'll be like the type of person that's like gonna hit the flash flay, like lantern you in, like hit the hook out. Like he'll play the situations mechanically well. I just don't feel like he's as smart about the game as somebody like Core JJ. You know, like we're
what the fuck you're comparing him to Core JJ?
Yeah. Like the better supports in the league, even Zeyzal. Like I would say Zeyzal, Core JJ, Smoothie, all those players seem like they have better like game sense than Hakuho in general.
Haku has like so little experience compared to them in terms of international, and I feel like international experience levels you up so much. So it's something a little bit unfair to Haku.
Yeah, I mean, like even if that's the case, it's like when they come back here, you need to be able to like learn from them. So it's like even if they have that international experience, it's not like they're only competing internationally. Like, they come back to NA and they're doing the same things to you. You have to be able to like understand like what they're doing and try to apply it to yourself.
The unfortunate thing for him is that it doesn't seem like he's going to be going to any international events anytime soon, like with Echo Fox or whatever decision he makes. He's not going to make an all-star team. And so this is like, how do you, I guess that only way to level up is when our NA representatives go and then they come back. Like that's the best way.
I don't even actually believe in that argument, because look at somebody like Zeyzal. Like he was good as fucking NA before he even went international. Like he just became really good in Academy and then he started playing LCS and he was just really good in LCS.
I mean, for sure, I agree with you that it's not all about international, but going international teaches you so much compared to NA, because NA is just like a very, very small pond, and how you win in NA, I actually don't think is the best way to win. And you go international and you get slapped around, and then you're like, holy shit, everything I was doing, or almost everything I was doing isn't correct, and then you learn properly.
And then you learn, and then you go back and you get your ass handed to you again. So like, what is it? Where does it end? Like, is there any point where like there's a good outcome, or is it just like...
every year you're making between 300 to 500, win an A, be popular, go international, get slapped. Sorry guys, we really truly tried. And then you jack off during the off season, you repeat. Like, that's a good life, Dom. Where does it end? Like, hopefully never.
I mean, I guess it just, at what point does it stop being underperformances? I feel like NA is like always like, yeah, we underperformed at Worlds. Like, I actually think this was like, yeah, I feel like it's always an overperformance. I'm like, yeah, we're probably worse than what we showed. Like,
yeah. Oh, before we move on, I do want to point out like a certain angle. I think Hakuo, Apollo, Solo had really good splits because they felt wronged by CG and they wanted to work really hard this split to kind of show them like, yeah, you guys were fucking wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I feel like CG like proved themselves wrong by themselves though. Like, I don't even feel like Clutch needs like, what does Echo Fox need to do? They're in 9th place with 3 Koreans. Like, it's like, all right, probably made some bad decisions.
Yeah, I mean, when your ex-girlfriend goes and gets pregnant, like, you know, when you're like, whoa, yikes. But you also like do well in college, then it's like a double whammy for you. But yeah, Clutch definitely.
What was that analogy, Loco?
Wait, what are you
Clutch is the ex-girlfriend, and then they went fucking like full crazy. They got 3 Koreans, and then they placed 9th or 8th, and then they started doing midlet. Like, I'm not sure, like, what, like, compare that to a girl, like, doing something crazy. That's exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if putting midlet in is like getting pregnant. I would say more that's like having like a drug addiction.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Thank you.
It's like Jesus Christ. Like, when did you start doing heroin? Like that's how I feel.
You try to kick it with their last partner and instead came back to it.
Crazy if you think that this is the move. Like,
oh man, yeah, we hit on Clutch and the train wreck that is Clutch Gaming. So we'll move on. Any last thoughts, Echo Fox? Yes, no.
Good job, Echo Fox.
Yeah, I think it was overperformance from them.
Yes, no, playoffs next split. Yes or no, playoffs next split for Echo Fox.
Oh, for Echo Fox?
Yeah.
I mean, 100 Thieves and Clutch, these are like big wallet teams. I feel like they're not going to be okay with just like what happened to them. There's no way they're okay with what happened to them. They have to make changes.
I mean, if I had to guess, I would say no. But I mean, I could see it happening again. It's just it's a bet type of thing where I think that it's more likely that they just aren't able to make it.
All right, so there we go. Echo Fox rip. 2019 spring ends in the quarterfinals. So with that loss, that puts up a juicy matchup. It's I think the new El Clasico, old El Clasico was TSM CLG, but I think this new one, it's TSM Cloud9. And these two squads, historic, great battles for the LCS championship over and over again throughout the years. Now having an opportunity in the semifinals to send one to first and one to third. Where do you want to start with this one, Loco? Because you look all across the map and they're great matchups.
I think this one, like, overall story is the real finals. No diss to TL, but I'm so much more hyped for this matchup. I think both these teams are way more dynamic, way more exciting. And yeah, I'm really excited. I think the place you look the most is mid lane. Bjergsen versus Jensen.
Wait, I'm not Jensen, what the hell?
Or not Jensen.
Whoa!
Bjergsen versus Niski. Holy shit. I still thought it was Jensen for 1 sec. I went back. Bjergsen versus Niski. Niski's a very much a rookie to this level of playoffs, this level of hype, and Bjergsen's just been here all fucking day long. And he had an amazing series versus Echo Fox. So I think if Niski cracks, it's this series, and this is a really important series for Niski to actually show up and show the world and show C9. I am a replacement. I am someone that can do as well as Jensen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a good chance that Bjergsen has the advantage in the mid lane. I just feel like C9 overall have like TSM's number. It seems like C9 overall just knows how to like macro around TSM. So it feels like TSM is gonna actually have to outperform individually to win this series.
Wait, Dom, in their last game, I felt like C9 won, or only because of like that one last play, and 90%, 80% of the game, TSM was winning. So other than like if we count the last game, let's just count it as a win or a tie. Like TSM and C9, their matchup is pretty even-ish, no?
Yeah, I think it's pretty even. I just think that, like, when I look at teams with clean macro, it looks like C9 gets a lead, they win the game. Feels like TSM is more sketchy with their leads, to be honest. Like even in game 1 yesterday, it's like they had a lead with the Jax Jarvan fight top, and then it just immediately just went back to like, oh, and then we threw, and then the game became fucked up again. I feel like TSM just is going to have to outperform in lanes. Like Broken Blade's gonna have to outperform Licorice, and you're gonna have to like rely on like your solo laners just winning.
Well, when you talk about these matchups, where do you think it's going to happen? Like you said, it has to be from the top lane, but do you think that's where it's going to happen from, Dom?
I mean, if I think TSM's strongest point on the map is Bjergsen. I feel like if Bjergsen is able to just win mid by himself, like just 1v1, and you have Acadian going top as always and helping Broken Blade, I feel like that's when it could get really scary for C9, because that's kind of what happened in the last game. When I think that was like the Nico into Aatrox game.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Is the Nico into Aatrox game last time they played. And if you just give Broken Blade like a good counter pick and you have him like with jungle pressure, you give him vision, I think he's good enough to just like beat Licorice in lane. I think it really just comes down to like what the meta is. And I wonder if it just becomes a situation where teams just want the counter pick on top lane the whole series.
Oh, how good did you think Acadian was? Because I felt like in the Echo Fox series, he found a really comfortable footing on Rek'Sai. And if they pushed him around a bit more, maybe banned Rek'Sai, contested Rek'Sai, and pushed him off to other champions, it might have been a little bit harder for Acadian because game 1 didn't look too hot. I actually really want to see C9 do that. I think Svenskeren is definitely a better better jungler than Acadian, and making him uncomfortable is one of the best things they can do.
Yeah, I think Sven definitely has his like strengths over Acadian. I just think that Acadian's the type of player, like, it seems like he's very confident in himself right now. And when he's confident, he has like the ability to take over games. You know, like he really believes in himself. I feel like he's just a super confidence-driven player, and he also he puts a lot of value on like what he thinks his understanding of the meta is. So in a meta like this, where he's really confident on like his priority of junglers, like, okay, I pick this into that, I pick this into this. If everything's up, I'll pick this champion. Like, that's when he's in that mindset, I feel like he's a really dangerous jungler, and he'll just be consistent. Like, I don't think that Sven will get an advantage on Acadian if Acadian like comes into the series playing well. I think it'll just be like 50-50 jungle, and it'll come down to, all right, who drafts better, and like, is it going to be one of those things where TSM just drafts the hyper carry top and just plays around Broken Blade, and he's just able to eventually take over the game?
Ooh, if they draft carry and it's Licorice Svenskeren versus Broken Blade Acadian, I think I have to lean TSM.
Yeah, same.
Really?
Holy fuck. Wait, no. Oh my god, I literally fucking word vomited. Sorry, it's so early in the morning. I meant C9. I have to lean Licorice and Svenskeren.
Really?
Yeah, Licorice. Yeah. Wait, Licorice Svenskeren versus Broken Blade Acadian. You would lean TSM?
I think if it's carry versus carry, I just think that TSM plays more around top. So like maybe if they just 2v2 all day, maybe Licorice and Sven can win, but it seems like I feel like Acadian will just get up there first. That's just my mentality towards it.
And so
I
he'll
know
be the
how
one
much,
to
like,
get the gank down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know TSM invests a lot into top, but if C9 sees that and they're like, okay, they're investing a lot into top and that's how they want to play, like, we can match them man for man. Like, C9 is definitely better in that 2v2. I have my money on Licorice Svenskeren.
I mean, I don't know. I think they're all just mechanically really good players. I think it will just come down to champion picks. I don't think any of them are making mechanical misplays in a fight like that.
Okay. Well, what do you think about bot lane?
Bot lane? I don't know, because bot lane didn't look that good for TSM last week or yesterday. I think that TSM's bot lane, they just want to like stabilize down there and try to win through the other side. Like for some reason, I just don't have the confidence in like Sven and Smoothie to like really perform consistently. It's like they have good games and they have like okay games. They don't really have many bad games, but that's their point of consistency. In my mind, it's like, okay, you draft something where Sven and Smoothie are just going to go even, and then you just win through the top side of the map.
I mean, did they have that bad of a game though? Because I feel like I remember seeing all those tweets, the OG Niels type series there for Sven yesterday against Echo Fox.
No, they're not explosive in lane, but that's where they shine the most outside of lane. Sven and teamfights, Smoothie with roaming and playing around the map. Smoothie and Sven, I actually thought they played really well. Smoothie's flanks on All-Star were really important to TSM winning, and Sven was a hyper carry. They just aren't explosive in lane, and lucky for them, nor is C9's bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think they have to be. That's why I would like to see them draft just consistent. Like, I don't mind when they play things like Tom Kench Varus, even though it's not a strong. Like, you're never gonna just smash a lane with Tom Kench Varus unless something like miraculous happens.
Yeah.
But if they're able to just like come out of that lane even, I feel like generally speaking, TSM wins.
Do you think we're gonna get a better matchup than this? Do you think TL versus either of these teams is more exciting?
Like,
or
this
more
is what
fun?
I think. I think TSM, if they beat C9, are gonna win the whole thing. I think if C9 win, TL is just gonna clap them. I think the TL is just gonna fucking clap them. Like, not even close. Like 3-0, like get the fuck off the stage, like that type of shit.
Why is that order of operations?
Okay, because C9, think about this. C9 lost both games to TL this season. Last season in finals, they got 3-0'd brutally by TL. Wasn't even fucking close. And I feel like that weighs on players over time. It's like, damn, last time we played these guys in, because I know how that felt. Like when I would play against fucking like TSM or some shit in playoffs, it's like they always win. They always just end up beating us somehow. So like even when we would get leads and like I would be really far ahead, I would look at the lanes, I would see that we would be like down plays. I'm like, this could be an issue. I feel like eventually that ends up fucking with players. Like, damn, let's just not get shit on as hard as last time. Starts being more of your thought instead of like, how are we gonna beat this team?
God, I think that all writes itself. Damn, fourth again. Damn, TSM still killing us with the fucking jean shirts. Damn, everything's going wrong for us right now.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like even when we were like a first place team and TSM was a fifth place team, it felt like we were underdogs in that matchup. Straight up.
Yeah. I remember people on TL talking about maybe we should have thrown the first place match so we're not on the same place as
I wanted. I wanted to because we always beat CLG, but like our coaches just didn't let us. And I think the TSM threw that match. I think CLG threw that match against us because Smithy played Nautilus. I first picked Nidalee as jungle, and he picked Nautilus jungle into Nidalee, and I just went like 11-0, and it was like he's not trying. He's fucking inting just because he doesn't want to play TSM until finals.
This is my favorite part of the podcast where we stop talking about what's actually relevant and we go back and complain about our careers.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I think we should have thrown that game for sure.
And going back to what Dom was talking about, I think it's 100% true. I talked to Sven Skjern on an interview, and then he told me, playing versus TL, we overthought things a little bit. Like we played a little bit slower and we didn't react right. And if it's anyone else, we just slap them around. So I do definitely think there is a mental block. I think they'll put up a better fight though this time. Like when they get to finals.
I mean, literally anything would be a better fight than what they did last time.
Yeah,
like,
that's bad.
Like putting up a better fight is like, oh, they're gonna show up and like play the game and not lose in 20 minutes. Like, all right, put up a better fight. There it is. That means nothing to me.
Daniel, anything you want to say about this matchup?
I kind of just want to see if Niski's worth it, right? Just because I feel like most of the time when you're able to beat TSM and beat Bjergsen, it's because you're neutralizing his ability to take over a game, not necessarily beating him in lane, right? And that's not how Niski has beat him before. It's been by going right at him and punishing him and trying to beat him in lane, and he's been one of the few guys to find success that way. In doing it that way. So I'm excited to see Niski. I like him a lot as a player. I like him a lot as a person. Got to know him. And now he gets his opportunity to do it on a big stage.
I think he's actually really good. I think he's going to put up a better performance than people expect. I don't think he's going to get manhandled, but I feel like C9 are going to win. And then I don't know. We haven't talked about TL versus FlyQuest at all. But I honestly just don't see TL losing that, like, ever. I don't know. I just have this mentality around best of fives where, like, if a team has significantly better macro than another team, the team with better macro will almost always win.
Daniel, do you have a flag for that one, or do we just talk about it randomly here?
Yeah. What, the FlyQuest TL? We didn't even talk about FlyQuest Golden Guardians.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can talk about that one first.
All right, let's switch topics then.
All right, let's head on over to FlyQuest and Golden Guardians. Obviously, Golden Guardians blew a 2-1 lead. That would have been a great tweet, but no one else wanted to make it, and I got no balls to do that as well to our former employers. So Golden Guardians got a good early start, 2-1 lead over FlyQuest. FlyQuest fought back, and Viper figured out how to play League of Legends in game 4 or 5.
Yep.
All right, Dom, speak on it first. I actually have a really big rant, so I don't want to cover up too much.
Okay, so, I mean, I guess it all just comes down to, like, knowing... For me, that whole series comes down to knowing your team and, like, knowing where your carries lie and how you need to play the game. I think that, like Golden Guardians, when you're this type of team, they're not going to be a first place team if they try to play standard. You have to like almost abandon the idea of like standard picks and standard play. You have to play what your players are most comfortable on and win in like cheesy ways, because if you like pound for pound, you just don't match up well against other teams. So I love the Frog and Vel'Koz. Like even though they lost with it in game 4, I feel like that's like obviously it was banned, but just going back to like meta, I'm pretty sure Karthus was up game 5. Like you just have to play what your star player is good at. Like Froggen is the star player.
Preach.
Yeah. So Froggen is the star player of the team along with Hanser, right? Like those are your stars. Give them things where they're gonna fucking like 2v8 the game. Don't give them fucking Ornn Lissandra. Like you can't have your star players on Ornn Lissandra. You need to give them as many tools as possible to generate massive leads on their own. And they just didn't do that in the final game when it mattered. So I honestly think Golden Guardians like played pretty well this series. I felt like FlyQuest were kind of like a little bit more nervous in the early games than Golden Guardians. It seemed like FlyQuest was making more uncharacteristic mistakes, and like they were just trying to like they felt like they should win, but they just didn't want to fuck up too bad. I think that Golden Guardians just needed to stick to their guns.
Do you feel like it was then like the coaching staff lost it for Golden Guardians by that draft there?
I mean, it just look. So this is kind of how I see it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of like I wouldn't put it all on an arrow. I just think that realistically, people just have to know where they fit into a team, and it's like giving Deathly Lucian and Contracts Kindred in the last game. Like those are not the players that are going to carry your team. Like Deathly is good at being consistent. He's like the cop of your team. You put him on something like that scales that he can like get through lane. Like he is decent laning, but he's not going to. Like he is decent laning because he doesn't lose bad lanes as hard as he should. I feel like it's not like you give him like Lucian or some shit and it's like damn he just dicked that fucking lane like three kills in lane, turrets done, like he's rotating all over the map, like he just takes small advantages when he's in a winning lane, and when he's in a losing lane he's good at like not losing as hard as he should, like managing the disadvantage. So I think that you have to play into that. It's like give Contract something that can gank lanes for Hanser and Froggen, or even Bali. Just give Contracts a ganking jungler, so it doesn't matter. It's like okay, you just can be useful even if you int or you do well. You'll still be like useful in some regard, and you just give fucking definitely a consistent AD carry. You give him the Varus again or something. Put Karthus in the fucking mid lane. Give yourself a carry top, and then try to win that fucking game.
Fuck. So my rant was exactly that. I think Golden Guardians' coaching staff lost them game 5. So when you go into a series, you come with so much prep, and then a lot of times it's really hard. But one thing you need to do as a coach is throw that prep out the window. So Varus went from being just like a normal okay pick into the meta to being one of the most highly valuable pick in that series, because definitely couldn't play things other than Varus in a team fight properly. So FlyQuest went from like banning it to first picking it. And also, as Dom was talking about with Vel'Koz, Froggen played Vel'Koz so fucking well. He was hiding behind terrain, making sure they could never reach him. And for them to not put Froggen on a high like DPS like carry, like someone he can carry with, like a Vel'Koz or a Karthus.
I think Vel'Koz was banned in game 5.
Yeah, Vel'Koz was banned. And then like the fact they early opted into Lissandra and Lucian blew my fucking mind. Like, why the fuck are you prioritizing Lucian this late in the series? Like, you've seen definitely like have problems in teamfight. Give him something like a Jinx. Make him survive the lane, and he can do a lot of damage in teamfight from long distance. Give Frog and Karthus again. Like, give your players the tools to carry. Like, their coaching staff did not read how the series was playing out, and then they copped out at the end. And they were like, okay, we'll do something that's correct. We'll go back to our prep. And you just threw away like giving your team a shot at winning the game by being very conservative.
Yeah, that's like a TL draft. Like they gave their team a TL draft, but they don't have TL players. Like it just, I don't know. I was not down with game 5 drafting.
Yeah, to me,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so Contracts, I don't think he really knew how to play Kindred. He built Bloodraiser and he built Bloodraiser Bork versus no tanks, and also he had no idea how to use ult. So I'm not sure how much Kindred you played on, but in competitive, like there's a point where you need to just die as a Kindred. And if you use the ult, you save the person that's diving, and that person gets to kill you and rest of your team. And he did it every single fucking time he was about to die. Like when Irelia is on top of you, you need to just die. You can't use ult and save the Irelia and let her kill rest of your team and get her cooldowns back. And he did that so many times.
Yeah, I thought his Kindred, like the sad thing for me was seeing how he threw away his massive early advantage. Like that game, like because they did the late invade, right? They did a late 130 invade where they just pretty much like Santorin had to walk across the map with W start on Lee Sin and start his blue, right? So he gets no leash, and then Conjoy just gets free red. His pathing should have been so much fucking better to exploit that. He let Santorin get his own red. Santorin didn't even go for the fucking red buff immediately because he's like, yeah, there's no chance that this guy gives me this. Like, I'm just gonna clear my topside jungle, try to get one of the crabs, and I'm just gonna like be down a buff. Like, Santorin accepted the 3 buff, and he only went for it once it was like, wait, why is Kindred fucking bottom?
Why is she ganking mid with the flash at level 2 and not like...
Yeah, why is he on like the bot side of the map without like my red buff? Oh, I guess I'll just take that for free. Like if he was smart, right? He takes his red buff, takes top crab, takes his own, or sorry, he takes enemy red buff first, then takes top crab, then takes his own red buff, and then he goes back bottom, takes bottom crab and his blue buff. There's your 3 buff. There's your fucking big advantage. Like that's such simple fucking pathing. And instead of these players, like it's not that Contracts doesn't know this, right? Like he obviously knows this, but he's just trying to be like 9 million IQ. It's like, well, like if I don't take the red buff, then he might think I take the red buff, and then maybe he just leaves it there and he doesn't get it. It's like just fucking get your own goddamn red buff, bro. Like just get your own fucking buffs, dude. That's all that matters.
Damn. Okay, so I was watching that game and I thought he had bad pathing, but I'm not a jungler, so I didn't want to tweet something and be like, oh, I'm the idiot. So it feels good to hear from you.
Yeah,
now I'll be the idiot.
Juanito spent a lot of time. That was a lot of our practice. Early jungle pathing back on Golden Guardians last split, and explaining to everyone the 4 or 5 different paths he would have taken, and then how comms changed that. So I'm sure that maybe someone else called him to go somewhere, but I don't think he didn't see it and then decided to 9 million IQ it. I feel like it's Froggen or Hunter saying something.
It literally reminded me so much of the Wiggly pathing from the last week.
Oh, it's like, from Echo Fox.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing where it's like you're just trying to be so fucking smart. Where it's like just take what's given to you, just take the lead. Like you don't need to be like 8 levels up, right? If you just take what's given to you and you're just up, 15 CS of the jungle, and you just have like pathing that makes sense for you that you're ahead in, you don't need to put the other guy super fucking far behind. It's better for you to just do things that make sense for you than to try to spend the whole game like digging down the jungle, because jungle is not that important of a role come late game in this meta. Like you're like, even though you are a Kindred, you are like a late game carry, you're not going to scale as hard as the other fucking champions that are late game in this type of game. So there's no point in like trying to play like that where you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna like snowball out of control. That's like a season 6 type thing. We're in season 9. Like you just gotta get yourself ahead, get to your jungle item. That is your biggest power spike on any jungler right now. Once you have your warrior, your blood razor, your whatever your Cinderhulk, whatever your first jungle item is, that is the strongest that you get in the game. Get that shit and then just fucking try to run the game from there. Get your blood razor, solo dragon, get Rift Herald, like just play the game.
Herald,
yeah. You just need to like go for objectives and just abuse that spike instead of like trying to just get like an extra camp. That extra camp does nothing in this meta right now.
My favorite is when my jungler gets ahead. I don't want them to gank. I want you to go get Herald. That's the best shit. Take Herald off the map, fucking use it mid lane, get your place before 14 minutes. Yeah. Exactly what I want.
I mean, I'm okay with the Blood Razor build. I didn't like the Blood Razor Bork. I think Blood Razor into Cleaver is like really fucking good there. Blood Razor just allows you to do Dragon and Herald so quickly that you just like it. You power spike off that item, and then you just fucking go and you take the objectives on the map and you just play like the power game instead of just counter jungling or just like trying to like do really risky ganks. Like you don't have to do that much.
When you think about this series, what game sticks out to you? Obviously, Game 5, Pobe 1v9 with Zoe, but that Game 4 for me is the one that sticks out. The way that Golden Guardians had it until they didn't have it, and Varus popped off, and Wild Turtle showed why he's one of the best AD carries in the game still.
Yeah, I think Game 4 was like the real hype game of the series, right? Like that was the only game that was like super close, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I just think at the end of the day, I really respected how Powelter like was willing to die for the proper engages in that game. Like his Aurelia play, like he understood the situation. It's like he does not have like you have a Rise on your team. You had, I think what was his jungler that game? It was Rise.
Karthus.
Yeah, you have Ryze, you have Karthus jungle. Your bot lane I think was like a Varus and Braum maybe. Yeah, I think it was Varus Braum. So it's like you have no engage. Like Pobelter was just able. He's like, okay, I have an angle to like get on the Vel'Koz. I just need to start this fight so that we can like win it. And he was just suiciding for engages game after game. And I was like, damn, that's like a player that's playing to fucking win. You know, like he understood his role, and even if it's like suicide, he's confident in his idea of the game and what he should be doing. And that like that's where you put respect on Pobelter right there. It's like that is a fucking veteran player that's doing like what his team needs him to do to win the game.
I thought it was rest of his team doesn't know how to engage, and the other person that knows how to engage is Centauran, and he's not on an engage champion, so he's forced to go in. I thought, wait, you have a Karthus Braum and a Ryze, just fucking use the Ryze ult to send Karthus Braum into the backline, like kind of like what G2 did in their games. And I don't think Viper did any of that, so Pobelter was forced to engage, and like you said, someone needed to do it, and Pobelter had the tools, and he fucking did it.
I mean, I just think it's really hard. Like it's hard to do the Ryze ult with a Braum compared to something like the Ryze ult with an
All-Star. Yeah.
Because like the Braum, like you send him back there, there's chances that he just insta dies. Like if people like he can really just drop his Q and just throw an ult and then he's dead. Like I don't feel like you utilize like the shield or like the other tools of Braum's kit that well in that type of circumstance. So I feel like that play could potentially work, but it's really sketchy. Like they need to be in a really good position for that to be effective, in my opinion.
I mean, either way, I think we both agree on like Pobelter fucking killed it in game 4, and he needed to engage, and he actually did it.
Yep.
All right, so before we move on to FlyQuest and their matchup against TL, let's put a bow on Golden Guardians and their season. Same thing here, like the Echo Fox question, guys. How do you feel about them as a team, this split, finishing 5th, 6th, after their catastrophic start under the guise of Locodoco and myself?
Don't include me in that shit. I wasn't.
You're the architect, dude. I was
not the architect. I did not build that roster.
You were the one that were given the reins, and then everything fell.
You know what? I'll have to take fault. My biggest problem in Golden Guardians was hiring Daniel. I am totally sorry about that, Golden Guardians, and that forced you to finish 10th twice.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean,
I'm
to be honest, think about it like this: like, sure, they went 4-14, but with Loco, like, how many weeks did you coach Loco? I think the first
2
one
weeks.
only. Okay, so they had a 0% win rate with Loco. So right. I mean, if they had just kept on going at that rate, it was definitely a 0-18 season.
I know, and for me, like my professional working experience with Loco, that's why I was so worried about this week getting off the ground, because I know after 2 weeks he jets out on you. So I was just like,
fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
Yeah. But
all right, yeah.
I feel the same way that I do about Echo Fox. I think they did better than they should have. Like that's a good performance. Like if I'm the Golden Guardians like owner or whatever, like manager, whoever's like a general manager, I would just be like, okay, that's a good result based on what we had.
I think this was a really good comeback story from Froggen. I was one of the Froggen doubters. I didn't think he had it in him to play this well and be like a star carry for a team. And I think, yeah, Froggen was a really big story. Without Froggen, this team does nowhere near close as what they did this split.
I think it's Hanser. Hanser was the big addition for me because
I mean, I think I felt like I knew he was gonna be good. Like he was never bad on TSM. Like he's a good player, but Froggen like looked bad for so long. You know, like he's on bad teams, and when you play on so many bad teams, you're just gonna look bad eventually.
That's fair.
Like
I think that's fair.
You can't look good when you're going 1-17 in LCS. All right, it's not possible.
Well, to me, it was more of the fact that. So, do you think it's Do you think it's Froggen the one that came in and is the major factor, or do you think it was Hanser? Because for me, like, I think Mickey's skill level with Froggen was close, mental nowhere near. But whereas I think Lorlo and Hanser opened up the map in ways that we just never had the opportunity to do in 2018.
No, the end result. Mickey and Froggen are completely different. Like when you say their skill level is close, maybe like how they click and how they like use their fucking skills, maybe that's close. But the end result of what you actually get from Froggen in game and Mickey is completely two different products. You cannot say they're close, but like you cannot fool the audience by saying their skill level is close. Like the actual result is night and fucking day. Like Froggen knows how to carry a team. Froggen can actually talk around. Hey, I'm gonna be playing fucking Vel'Koz. I'm gonna be hiding behind this wall, start Baron. Like he can actually shot call. Mickey can't and never did anything close to that for the old Golden Guardians.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like Mickey, you just get like a B tier, like consistent. Like Mickey will be able to play all like the meta shit that Froggen probably can't. Like he'll play meta shit better than Froggen, but he won't play it at a level that's better than like the better mid laners in the league. So you're just like, I would much rather have somebody like Froggen that gives you a win condition. It's like, oh, now there's a fucking Karthus in the game playing mid, just like 1v9ing. What the fuck do we do now? You know? Or like, oh, now there's like this Vel'Koz hiding like behind the Baron wall, like setting up like skill shots. That's something that other teams aren't able to deal with. I feel like even if you have like Mickey there and he's just playing, it's like, oh, now you've got a slightly better Lissandra in game 5, you still fucking lose. Like you need somebody who's going to carry that fucking game, not like somebody who's just going to be there like losing with the rest of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. Thoughts on the growth of the two guys holding over from Juanito, Arturo Garcia, better known as Contracts, and on the bottom side of the map, definitely.
Definitely grew a little, but not a lot, and nor did Contracts. I don't think I didn't improve that much.
I think Contracts got worse. Straight up. Yeah, I think he just played. He's like, I think the best split he had as an individual player was the one on Cloud9. And obviously you can attribute that to like coaching staff being in a better system, etc. But I don't feel like he's grown as a player. I feel like he's just like the same player and now everyone else is better. So now he just looks worse.
Yeah.
Sadly have to agree. Poor Juan.
Yeah.
No, I mean I think Juan is good. Like in general, he just doesn't hasn't been able to figure out what he's done wrong. I feel like somebody that is on the other side of that would be like Acadian, for example, right? Like you really see improvement in Acadian's play in TSM. Like regardless of the fact that he's on TSM, like he's becoming smarter about the game. His decisions are better. Like he just looks more in it. Whereas Contract just looks completely fucking random. It's like it almost looks like Contracts doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just like the type of jungler that I swear that just gets dragged around the map by his laners. Like his laners are like, oh, they're like a little bit low bot. He's like, okay, can I dive bot? Like, okay, I'm coming bot. And then he just like gets there. It's like, oh, we can't do anything. All right, I'm gonna go back and like do my jungle. That type of shit.
Were you in the comms? Were you in comms of Golden Guardians? Like that was like sitting in the back room. Sometimes that's what that shit sounded like. It was like, oh, I mean, okay.
Well, good. That means I'm on point with that.
All right, yeah. Hey guys, available. Dom's still available for the jungle role. Echo Fox, you know, that opens up an import slot.
Nice fucking meme. Nice fucking meme.
How much money would it take for you to fucking jungle for Phoenix again?
Like to play LCS again?
No, jungle for Phoenix.
Jungle for Phoenix.
That's I wouldn't be against jungling for Phoenix again. I thought like Phoenix and I played pretty well together. I would actually feel pretty comfortable jungling for Phoenix again, but
wow. I thought you would say like fuck no, because like you care a lot about winning, and it's really hard to win with Phoenix. It's really easy to get a lead with Phoenix, but it's so fucking hard to win with them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It would probably take me like $1 million, and I'd play.
Okay, $1 million.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's not happening. So I'm streaming for a while.
I don't know. LCS on the rise. There aren't really any other esports coming right out.
NA junglers get paid fucking in peanuts. You should see some of these contracts. It's actually so depressing. It's like, oh, Dardock, you're pretty good. All right, like have this half-eaten sandwich. It's like, what the fuck? You literally paid Hooney $800K, and then you're just giving like Dardock this shit? Like, what the fuck? Come on.
And the Dardock's like, no, I don't really feel great about that half-eaten sandwich. Okay, nope. Dardock's like, wait, I'll take that half-eaten sandwich.
Yeah, but with that half-eaten sandwich, you have to share that with Meteos as well. So just, don't bite the same side.
And Dardock's like, can I have some of that Hooney money? Fuck no, you're not Korean. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Like, but I'm better than the Koreans. Like I actually could like perform. It's like, shut the fuck up. Take Meteos' sloppy seconds and get out of here. You toxic people. Like, all right, man.
We actually just picked you up to shit on you. Get out.
Yeah.
All right. So any last thoughts here on Golden Guardians? We didn't talk about Trolle down on the bottom side of the map.
Ole's actually he's so nice. It's hard to shit on him, but he wasn't a very good.
He's such a kind boy. That's all I wanted.
He wasn't a very good support this flood.
I mean, I think he just like played pretty much at the same level he did when he was on TL, which is just like all right. I thought he was just okay.
He has like a pedigree as like a winning like support because he went to finals on Immortals and he won twice on TL. I feel like his pedigree and his actual play does not match up.
That's with a lot of players. Like I mean, like wouldn't you say that somebody like Xmithy, their pedigree is better than him as a player?
I think Xmithy declined, but he's been that player for such a long time, and he's been like a core engine when they won, like CLG, TL. Like I do think Xmithy plays a big role, but for Ole, like how big of a role is he playing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just like when I see players with multiple championships, and it's like you've never been the star on your team, but you've like won a ton of championships. Like he's won how many championships has Bjergsen won? 5?
Yeah,
4?
Bjergsen's at 5, doubles at 5. Those are the two
Okay.
maximums.
Okay, so there's 2 people at 5. Like you think about Bjergsen and double of what they are on a team, and then you look at like Smithy has 4. It's like, would you say that he's as good as those 2 players? Like, I don't think that like he's comparable, but I mean, it is what it is.
I think a closer comparison to what you're talking about in terms of pedigree is contracts, right? Because contracts looked great on a good team, and then he moved to a different team and doesn't look as great.
But he's never won. I feel like when you're a champion, like it brings something else. It's like, damn, you're an LCS champion.
Xmeti took multiple rosters to finals, right? The double CLG one, and then the
I always think he had
one.
good rosters. I think he's always had like pretty good rosters.
All right,
Like,
let me give you the Immortals one. The Immortals, Pobelter, Xmeti, Ole, Cody Sun. That one, they had Dardoch the split before, and they were in relegations. And then with Xmeti, they were able to go to finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely a good teammate, but I feel like it's more that from what I've heard, Dardoch was such a bad teammate on Immortals compared to they had a bunch of like new players, and I feel like that type of environment when you have people like Pobelter, you have people like Ole, you have people like Cody Sun, like those types of personalities, like if somebody's like actually toxic in a team, it fucks the team so hard. Whereas I feel like Smithy is the type of player where like he brings the best out in his teammates. Like you always feel like he's a very like empowering and good teammate.
Oh man, that must have been night and day. You go from Dardoch to Xmeti, like.
Dude, poor Joshy, man. We've been hitting him on every single team he's been on so far. Let's
I mean,
let's
he's
crap
still
talk.
an insane player though. Like to me, he's the best jungler like in the league. Like I would rather have him than like anyone in terms of just mechanics. But like I don't know. Every time you talk to like somebody that's in a team, they're like, yeah, you know, sometimes we have to cancel scrims and like.
Do you want the best jungler on your team if it means like it's like a ticking time bomb?
Yeah, probably.
Really?
Yeah. I like toxic junglers, bro. What? I'm like a toxic jungler myself. Like what? Of course. I like the toxicity. I like the Tarzans, the fucking metaphors, the Dardochs of the world. I like those people.
It's just because you're one of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Quick, let's hit the rest of the Dardochs. That's Echo Fox Dardoch, who ruined Hooney's return. The
I thought he was fine on Echo Fox. I thought that's like I feel like last
that was the best one. Yeah.
Well, I felt like that was the one where it was like, okay, he's like got his shit together now.
Okay, is Dardoch reformed? Should teams like 100 Thieves look at him? Should teams like Golden Guardians and 100 Thieves look at Dardoch?
Yeah, I think so.
What's your like response to like, okay, he might blow up the team, he might ruin all our progress that we made.
You're in 9th or 10th place. Who the fuck cares? He can literally go into the fucking team, take a shit on top of Hooney's head, and then sit down and play, and I would still be like, yeah, give him the starting spot. Like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. He's playing. What are we gonna use? Lyra? We're gonna use Anda?
Yeah, hell no. You need none of those guys.
Okay. Daniel, give me the next topic.
Wait, we still have to smack talk CLG Dardoch and Team Liquid Dardoch.
No, we're not gonna fucking sit here and start talking Dardoch.
All right. Okay. All right, next topic. So Golden Guardians, congrats. Oh, playoffs next split for Golden Guardians. Yes, no.
I would say probably. I think that they can like get 5th, 6th again. I think that either Clutch or 100 Thieves will become a playoff team. Like one of them will get their shit together, and then like Golden Guardians will probably like be good enough to make playoffs and then lose first round again.
You think Clutch is gonna get it together?
One of them, no, Clutch or 100 Thieves, like one of them will get their shit.
Or Optic. I think Optic would get it together before Clutch. I think the Clutch.
I don't think Optic has the talent. Like their roster just like
we thought the same about Echo Fox.
I'd say like at least Echo Fox has more talent than Optic. Like you look at like your role players and it's like, would you want to have like Solo and Hakuho as your role players, or do you want to have like Dokla and Big? What is the
okay. You win.
This isn't even a fucking like this is a exclusively playoff episode, and majority of it has been shitting on 100 Thieves and Optic.
Yeah, I mean it's just like when look, it's what I said last time. When you play that bad for that many weeks in a row, like I now have like a vendetta against you because I had to watch that as a viewer. So like at this point, I am personally offended, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Does he feed in your games? What happens when you get him in your games?
Who?
Dokla.
He's like hit or miss in my games. Like when he's in my games, he normally plays pretty well though. But I mean, then again, like okay, the thing that I'll say about Dokla, the reason why I wasn't ready to just shit on him as hard as you were last episode was because he literally just gets gank level 3 every fucking game, and he's just getting like butt fucked under his turret the entire time, and then his jungler is just bot side of the map, like jacking off. It's like, I mean, he gets fucked so hard. It's like Dyrus season 5 all over again.
Oh no.
PTSD.
Sorry, Daddy Riss. I know you're watching, but whatever.
Oh, rip. Hey, it's true though. Like, it is what it is. Like,
okay. So, Loco, yes, playoffs or no?
Really hard to say because of the 2 shitter teams, and then like, do I want to bet on 100 Thieves and Clutch Gaming like getting their shit together after what they've shown me this split? Probably not, but it's just a hard bet. I don't think I have a hard answer one way or the other.
All right. Well, Golden Guardians, their season ends with their first ever championship points and turning around what was a catastrophic franchise-ending year into 6th place. Congrats. All right, let's move on over. Ears, get ready. Here comes the transition. FlyQuest and Team Liquid. That's what we want to talk about.
yeah.
All right, there we go. So, FlyQuest, Team Liquid, these 2 teams now going up. Steve pulling the old switcheroo, giving him the Locodoco, saying that they're going to take TSM, and of course they take TL. I know that you had thoughts on this, Dom. Why don't you start off with that?
Why would you ever take TSM? Like, it just like, it doesn't make any sense. Of course they're gonna take the weakest team possible. Like, because even if they are confident they'll beat TSM, you'd have to show more against TSM than you would against FlyQuest. So there's really no benefit to ever picking like a harder team in this. Like, it sounds like really like it sounds really nice to just have that big dick and be like, yeah, we'll play whoever, we'll take the hardest team possible. But when you're trying to like win as much as like, if you really want to win, you're gonna take the easiest games possible to win that trophy, and that's FlyQuest.
I thought it was such a TL move to actually talk about it and then maybe even go through with it. Like, TLs, like, they've been so cocky ever since they started winning. I thought it was a realm of possibility where Steve actually picks TSM.
Yeah,
I mean, Steve doesn't decide though. Like, he's not the one that actually decides.
Wait, you don't think Steve decides? If Steve really wants to, I think he would have forced it.
Hell no.
No,
Steve not like that.
Are you fucking serious? Steve would walk up to me and he would talk to me about, I had a Nautilus in my solo queue game and it seemed insane. I think we should be playing Nautilus. Or like, I think we should ban Thraka because of like XYZ reasons.
I mean,
Hunter did that too. Everyone does that.
He does that, but like, at the end of the day, it's like, oh, my team's finally winning now. Like, I'm just going to let them do their shit and I'll just talk shit on the sideline.
Well, we'll get to the tweet later. Let's refocus on this matchup here. So FlyQuest, I guess, slugging it out here in that 5-game series. I was gonna say they deserve their spot, but I mean it could have honestly gone either way. Except Pope got Zoe 1v9. How do you see this one panning out? Any chance here for FlyQuest?
I mean, they have a chance just if TL like actually keeps on like choking, like, because their last weeks were really bad, and they did lose to FlyQuest in their last weeks anyway. I just think that like I just have enough confidence in TL to just like get their shit together and just play their style. And I think that they have better macro than FlyQuest, so they'll eventually just get advantages. I don't think that like Wild Turtle, JJ are going to be able to lane versus Doublelift and Core JJ for a full series.
It's a team fight team versus another team fight team, and they're both heavy on macro. The only thing that would give FlyQuest an edge is if they could play to topside more and split push, because I think that's where they can actually beat TL. But from what I've seen of them in the Golden Guardian series, it seems like Viper is very specific to certain champions and actually being able to pop off, most notably Rise, Irelia, Ribbon. So if TL controls that well, and I don't think FlyQuest really has a shot.
I mean, I think that any time where you're like, Impact is really fucking solid as a player. Anytime your win condition is like, we're gonna shit on fucking Impact, like that's what like, that is how we're gonna win the series, it's always a bad thing. That was pretty much what happened last playoffs, right? It was Licorice versus Licorice versus Impact in the top lane for the 1-2 versus Cloud9, and you just like, he's just not gonna lose that hard. Like, he's just really hard to beat. I feel like he can have like a bad game here and there, but he's the type of player where he knows how to lose the minimum really well.
Yeah, and I wanted to know, I think with the roster that FlyQuest had in that last playoff series, and they warmed up in the series, I think they looked actually nervous This Viper's first series, his first split in the LCS right on in. JJ's first time in playoffs. Or maybe is it first or maybe second time in playoffs, but either way, like a young player there. And then you saw how much it meant to Santorin to finally get the monkey off of his back. The TSM moving ward, all that stuff, as well as the fact is they released that drive series on him, and so to have all that pressure to go on in and then succeed, you saw how much it meant to him afterwards. I think nerves kind of play into that. Now that they get that out of the way, they have like they're playing with house money. This is the team that has nothing to lose and no one expects them to win from that underdog spot. I think that's such a dangerous spot to play into and play against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like they're not solid enough to play versus TL and win a best of 5. Like they just make too many mistakes. Like you look at even the last series versus Golden Guardians, like they had so many like ridiculous mistakes in game 1 and game 3. And even in game 4, they have these catastrophes that happen, right? Where they're like, we want to fight, and then 2 people walked into turret and inted, and now we didn't get Baron. That shit does not fly versus TL here.
I think when it's this kind of team versus this kind of team, like 2 team fighting teams, the better team wins. Like if it's like a carry team, like a split push team, and there's like more explosive factors, then we can talk about, oh, maybe like FlyQuest can win. They maybe have a puncher's chance, but this is a better team wins kind of series, and TL is clearly the better team.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to make that argument either. But, I mean, let's think of it across the board in terms of individual players. Like in the top lane, do you give at least Viper a push, or do you think it's just Impact all the way?
Impact is shit on so much, and people are like, oh, Impact can't play tanks. Oh, Impact's not that good. Impact's washed up. You talk to actual players, and Impact is really fucking solid, and no one really says, like, yeah, Impact is bad. Like, no player really says that, and it's a fan narrative.
Every player respects the fuck out of Impact. Yeah. Like,
I mean, it's a fan narrative that Impact is bad, or he should be replaced on TL.
Yeah, no, he's one of the players that I feel like is the most like you always. When do you see Impact have a bad playoff series, or like even at Worlds last year? Like he's always Impact. Like he always shows up and plays like pretty well in clutch moments.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just people fall in love with like the super top carry moments, and they want to see that. And because Impact doesn't show him that people think Impact is bad, but it's just such a misunderstanding. He has really good fundamentals. He doesn't make mistakes, and he makes it so easy on your team to win. Like you don't need resource, and you're giving back to your team even without resource. Like of course he's super fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like the way you have to view it is like he doesn't have as highs, but he doesn't have as like many lows as other top laners. So for example, you look at somebody like Broken Blade, like when he pops up, it's really impressive, right? It's like, damn, that was some sick top lane play. And then you have games like where he's playing against the Vayne, where he levels level 2 as a Kali into Vayne, and then he just gets his shit pushed in for like 20 minutes. It's like, damn, that was a really like you'll never have that game out of Impact. He'll never have that game.
And also, like, Broken Blade is getting a counter pick, and he's also getting jungle resource compared to Impact, where Impact's almost always blinding, and he gets no resource because all their resource is going to double lift. So the situation's even different, and Impact's always doing well.
All right, well, okay, so then let's go to FlyQuest. One of FlyQuest's best players, and Santorin. Santorin matching up against Xmithie. I feel like that's something where you could possibly get an advantage, right?
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. I think Santorin is really good. I think he can get an advantage over Xmithie. It's just that like jungle, it's so hard to carry from jungle right now, especially in professional games. Like it's really, really rough. If your lanes are losing and like generally like behind, even if you get ganks off, it's like you gank and then it feels like they're even. It doesn't even feel like you're winning after you gank. So I think that Santorin can outperform Xmithie here. I just don't think that it'll be enough to win the series.
I think one dimension that doesn't get talked about is Santorin on Karthus. Like Santorin's the only good Karthus I've seen in NA. When Rush played Karthus, I was like, okay, this is why people in NA don't play Karthus. But Santorin Flame Horizon contracts on Karthus. And I think if they pick Karthus again and they can drag it out long enough where it's like an even team fight 50-50, then that's something that can give FlyQuest a shot. But yeah, Santorin's their best player and probably one of the only players they can win through, but it's so hard to win through jungle.
Yeah. Just not this. This is just not the meta for that. Like there have been metas where like jungle is really influential, but like especially with like experienced nerfs, it's like mid and AD are your like carries.
All right, so then let's talk about that mid lane matchup. Pobe against Jensen. Pobe obviously has a little bit of the redemption story arc. We'll get to his tweet later on today as well. But you don't think... I was talking to a couple of FlyQuest fans and people that have been following FlyQuest for a while, and they think Pobe is their best player over Santorin. Thoughts there?
I think he's like more of their leader. Like, he's the type of player that will make the game-winning play, but I think that he's not consistently as good as Santorin is.
For me, I like Santorin better, so maybe I'm biased, but Santorin's like such a top tier jungler. Like, the worst you can place him is top 3. Like, he's definitely not 4th. As for Pobelter, he's further down there. He's like 5th or 6th.
5th.
I know mid lane pool is a lot stronger than jungle, but still, like, Santorin is one of the best junglers in NA, where Pobelter is not one of the best mids. So I think it's really weird that they would consider Pobelter better.
So
maybe it's just that mid is that much better than jungle as a role. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think you just have so much more impact, so you look at it that way. Any chance that goes in the favor of FlyQuest, Jensen versus Pope?
I could see, like, I just don't feel like Jensen will get shit on either. I mean, I just, that's the problem with TL versus FlyQuest is FlyQuest is going to make mistakes, right? And TL, I don't think will make that many mistakes. So I feel like if FlyQuest have a lead early game, like, early game will be kind of coin flippy. Whoever wins, like, will have an advantage. But I feel like FlyQuest, if they throw, TL just wins. And if TL gets the advantage, they just win as well. So, like, FlyQuest would need to just have clean, like, 3 clean fucking games where they just take an advantage and snowball it. So, yeah.
All right, in the bottom side of the map, we really don't need to check in on that too much. Turtle, JJ against Double Lift and Core JJ. You got the all MVP, all NA/LCS spot lane going against the vet and his and his puppy that he walks around.
Damn, the shade. Yeah, but I don't see how FlyQuest really wins through bottom. TL's so good about playing through bottom, and they do have the best bot lane also. So that's we're only going to be talking negative of Turtle and JJ.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Turtle and JJ are okay. I think Turtle's like actually pretty good. I think JJ's like average, but I mean, like, even being pretty good, like, Double is the best AD carry, and Core JJ is the best support. So they're just outmatched in every way bot lane, I think.
Yeah. And I didn't want to go too hard in it either, because I think that bot lane's had a good year. I think both Turtles had a resurgence or continue his growth and dominance of being like the 3rd best AD carry in the league, as well as JJ's growth. Going back to your point, being a young player and just getting time on the LCS stage, and you see his tweets, he's very mature, but that's not really... You can hang your hat on Double Lift and Core JJ going with the best of them. So,
Yep.
All right. So before we close it out here, predictions. And do you think any 3-1s, 3-2s possibly, or is it going to be a 3-0?
I think it'll be 3-1. I think they'll win like maybe game 1 or game 2, but I think that TL just win the series pretty handily after that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give respect to FlyQuest and say 3-1 or 3-2, but I think if they don't win in the first game, TL just wins 3-0.
All right, there you go. Experts, close it out here. I think 3-1. I can see them winning through Santorin, and I think it's trying to do the bad impact tactic. You just got to work your way top and then work your way down through the rest of the game. All right, so any last things on our first set of playoffs, or any of our playoff teams that you guys wanted to touch on that we haven't touched on yet already?
I'm good with that, I think.
No, we talked a long time. Let's go to the next thing.
All right, so patch 9.6, it's out. That's what the pros are playing on. We've been playing on it for a little while. Let's take a look. Get your ears ready. Here we go. Transition time. All right, patch 9.6.
Let me pull that up real quick. Dom, you can start.
Yeah, I think biggest changes were Urgot, more damage. His shield,
jungler.
Yeah, is on the W now. He's a jungler. No more double tier Ezreal. Kale got buffed and is just a late game monster. So trying to figure that out. Hecarim also came back into the meta and is annoying. I think those are the 4 big ones. And then 80 carry changes, but Xayah still sucks.
Mm.
Yep.
Patch 9.6. I didn't even know Urgot could jungle. I honestly didn't see it before, and I don't scrim or watch scrim, so I had no idea. Dom, can you explain why it's
So
good?
Urgot is just like they just pretty much made him like a really solid duelist now. So WMax Urgot at max rank, it's a toggle. All the pros are playing this in solo queue. Every single time I run into Smithy or whoever, they're all just trying Urgot jungle every time it's up. It essentially just seems like almost like a better version of Xin Zhao is how I'd explain it. He's the type of jungler that you walk to like the crab level 2, and whoever it is, you just beat them. If it's a Rek'Sai, you win. If it's whoever it is, you just beat their ass level 2. Your E now has a shield on it, so like yeah, you land your E and then you just start your W, and with new Conquer, it stacks so quickly because your W just procs so many shots. You just instantly stack your Conquer and then just win pretty much any team fight. Also, the ult range got like massively buffed. The range went from 1600 to 2500, so 2500 range on your ult. You can like ult from jungle, you can ult from like the dot bush, the pixel brush, like into mid lane. From there, like you have such long range on your ult, you can combo it with CC from laners super easily. So I mean, I think that this pick, we saw it in OCE, they were playing it because they're already on this patch in competitive, and I think a lot of LCS junglers are going to play it as well. It just seems like it's a really solid pick for yeah, it seems like it's a really solid pick for a competitive game because of just like how defined the strengths are. It's like good at getting crabs, it's really good at doing dragon, and then being able to like get guaranteed kills pretty much at 6. All really strong things.
Oh, that sounds really good. And they kept what's really strong about Urgot, the ult into flash and team fight. That shit is so fucking disgusting. I hate it as an AD carry. Like, if you get it in a team fight, like, you kill a target, and then you're able to AoE fear and follow up with E afterwards, like, that shit is fucking over. Urgot's still a crazy god in team fight.
Yep. And now it's just like so much more potent because before like people were doing the spellbook Urgot and stuff like that. For jungle, you either run red smite, blue smite, but you just get you just have Conqueror, so you take and Triumph, and so if you get one kill, like it's just so hard to take you down. And when you have those the procs from your passive, like that deals so much damage. It's like 300 damage. You get a percentage of that. You get 30 health from that from your Conqueror every single time. It's just so insane.
All right. Okay. So what else do you guys see? Loco, what is the next thing that you want to talk about on this patch that's busted or notable or nerfed or something of that nature?
I mean, most obviously Israel removing double tier. So double tier allowed Israel to cover a basis where he actually really struggled a lot. So old Israel used to fall off really hard around 3 or 4 items when people started to get crit on board. But double tier allowed you to scale pretty infinitely all the way up to 6 items. And that being removed is actually huge for pro play because it became like Israel is so much about just chilling and poking, where it used to be like you hit a power spike and you need to do something. I'm double tier Israel. I'm not going to get any stronger. I proc 2 items. I want to fight, but the old Israel was like you scale infinitely. Now that you don't have double tier anymore, like it really hurts the scaling, and people are going like loot and build now to make sure they can poke harder.
I don't know if that build is actually bad though. That seems pretty good. So what people are doing now, that Loco was just talking about, I think it started in Korea, was you go your Mana Moon into Iceborne Gauntlet, and then after Iceborne Gauntlet you go straight Gunblade Ludens. So you have like all the healing as before. Like you don't get the shield that you used to get from Seraphs, but you still have like insane damage. You get a lot of mana from building the Ludens anyway with the Lost Chapter. So like I feel like that build is actually pretty strong, and the poke is actually slightly better than it was. So
yeah,
I can see that build working potentially.
It's less about the scaling portion of it until you complete that item. I think isn't that that's just like the big difference there. To me, it's now you have to finish the item. It's not like, hey, I can sit on this tier, the second tier, and just kind of farm up, and I'll eventually get there. You have to still play aggressive and get to that point to finish Luden's Echo. Any other big ones? So no double tier. I
want to see how much Hecarim makes like I guess an appearance top lane. I think there's a lot of opportunity to run Hecarim, because a lot of what people are playing, like we saw things like we see things like Aurelia top, we see things like Aatrox top still. I feel like those types of picks can just get straight up beat by Hecarim. I mean, Hecarim was the original counter to Aatrox, right? That was like the licorice pick originally, and then now when you have this increased damage from the Q that just makes that matchup even better. Things like Aurelia just can't win the duel versus the Hecarim, like in direct fights, especially when Hecarim brings Ignite. I feel like there's a lot of potential for Hecarim top to come back to pro play.
That's a big one, and the other one is Jace getting early nerfs. Like Jace as a champion had better stats than melee champions while being able to have 2 skills at level 1 and switch forms. That was crazy, and they nerfed a lot of that. So that's actually a really big one too. Jace is probably no longer first pick status.
Yeah, Riot was tired of seeing North America struggle at Worlds, or at international events, so nerf the NA Jace before they get there. Smart. Big brain. Big brain Riot.
Yep.
Anything else, guys? Sticking out? 9.6?
Silas slight nerf, but Silas is still Silas, and he's almost still like you never ever let the enemy team have Silas.
Yeah, you probably just ban it still.
Yeah, he was. So I did the Big Ten championships this whole past week, and Silas was the most banned champion, most picked, most banned champion throughout the tournament. Nico also got a little bit of attack speed back, so you can still use her with the on-hit build. It went from 1.5 to 2.5 stat growth, and what was the other one I wanted to hit on? I guess Nico is definitely not it. I need to look it up. Holy moly!
Oh, well, I want to talk a little bit about Nico while you look up whatever you're looking up.
Go.
Riot doesn't want on-hit Nico to exist, and I feel like they're gonna kill it. Riot's been very, very clear about a certain build path and like the kind of champion they want to exist and the kind of champion they build each new one to be. And on-hit Nico is not the intention, so I think they're gonna kill it completely if it keeps seeing competitive play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that on-hit Nico is just like kind of dumb anyway. Like that's just not the purpose of the champion. Builds like that, I mean, they used to have like a place in old League of Legends, but now like there needs to be some I think like there needs to be some consistency with like what the champion is supposed to do and what it does. Whereas like before you just have all these types of crazy things like, oh, I guess, I guess this tank is actually now just like an assassin. Like that, they don't want the game to be like that. Nico's supposed to be a mage in their eyes. They're gonna make her a mage.
So you think the way that Kale is being built right now, being played right now, that is something that they do want because it is just an on-hit kill. You're not really getting explosive kill anymore, and there's multiple ways to do it, right? We saw.
I like the Blade of the Ruined King Ginsu's build the best. That's the one that Nemesis did. I think that one's the best one.
And I think that's what they want, Daniel, because they gave Kale a lot of things based around auto attacking, right?
Right.
So I think that's the exact what they want, anyways.
So it doesn't matter because we saw in the Big Ten championship they ran Grasp in the top lane. Obviously Klepto, which is the number one, but to survive they want to Grasp, and then also to survive they also used Fleet Footwork. So we got to see all these different variations, but it's still the same type of champion where it's all about the auto attacking. So I guess that makes sense, Dom, because I was like, hey, well then what's wrong with that compared to Nico being played different ways?
Well, I mean,
Ezreal building different ways.
It's because you don't like the AP Kale build is like vastly inferior. Like if you go AP on Kale, I've seen it like where you go like Ludens and Nashor's Tooth and stuff. It's just vastly inferior to like going Bort Ginsu's and that type of style. I think Nico is supposed to function as a mage. Like she's an ability-based champion that just had like something on her W so that she was able to, keep up with people, but then it became just this ridiculous thing where it was so overpowered. That one part of her kit was so overpowered that it overshadowed the rest of her kit entirely, which is something that they don't want. Like they want her to be able to like her abilities should matter on that champion.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what it was. It was Ornn getting Bellows Breath, the damaging skill. Now all of a sudden cooldowns from 12 and now it scales down all the way down to 7 at max rank. And with the changes to Ornn being a little bit more damage dealy with, I think that was at the beginning of the season, getting that cooldown to dish out more brittle stacks, I feel like is a big change, and we saw more priority of that included.
This is an impact buff. This is a TL buff right here. This literally just gives them a higher chance of winning.
Yeah. Hey,
Right.
FlyQuest, you listening? LCS is scripted. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
Oh, Dom, what do you think about the Fizz skin, the FUDS Fizz, where he actually looks like a dog? I'm not sure if I am okay with skins where it sometimes changes like the outline of the champion. Like it's unrecognizable at times.
I haven't seen it yet. But, I mean, I think that like they go too far with that whole idea sometimes. Like I think that you should just be more normal with, I mean, like just give Fizz like a cool fish skin. Give him sushi skin or something. Like have rice on the sides of him and have him flopping around. Like that should be good enough.
I understand they need to sell skins and make money or the game like cannot run and the company can't run, but they like certain skins, I'm like, is this really what you guys want? And if breaks like the theme too much, and he looks completely different. I
think
can't recognize it at a glance.
I think it's just a dumb idea. It's like, oh, yeah, Fizz. What people like dogs? Okay, give him a dog skin. What the fuck? Just like give him something that makes sense, please.
I think they put Freak in a room and said, "Come up with some puns." And Fizz Fuzz, easy, done. And
Oh God.
I saw.
Please, next topic.
I saw Bob Chin made a post recently. You shoot the tennis ball out right now, right? I think it's the tennis ball is the ult, and he like completely dodges it, and then it hits him because the hitbox is busted. The old Riot buff.
It's too much.
All right, so that is our discussion here on 9.6. We've talked about the LCS. Now let's get into a new segment we're calling Tweet of the Week. We already hit on a couple of these things, but let's take a listen. Headphone check. Get ready.
Oh, this is my favorite section now. Tweet of the week.
Yeah. Wait, where's my tweet? Where's my tweet of the week?
It's going to be on here, don't
It's on there. Don't worry.
Wait, which one? Which one?
The one, dude. The one of the week, dog.
Okay. What? I had like 2 bangers this week. What are you talking about?
All right, first one is set up by our good friend Mark Z. Super fun series. FlyQuest coming up real big. Most likely going up against TL in semis, so Po Belter gets his chance for revenge. And Big Steve being a flippy floppy, overconfident manager, owner, GM saying we picking TSM, and then obviously going back on his word. So I don't want to talk necessarily about them, you know, why they would do it from strategy standpoint. It's more about the fact that Steve said he's going to do something and then doesn't, and he just doesn't follow through. This seems to be such like a TL thing.
Yeah, I don't understand why you do it. If you say it, then fucking do it. Like, it just blue balls the community and it makes everyone upset at you. I don't understand what kind of benefit it brought to TL for Steve to tweet this.
I mean, I think it's just like the psych type bullshit like that. Like it's like, oh no, we're getting a psych like that. That's what I see it as, to be honest.
Yeah, it just seems so BM. It seems BM to me, and it's like one of those dad joke psychs. You know, when a dad does it and it's like mad lame. Like, it would have been epic. But
come on, leave Steve alone. He's almost 40. Come on. Let's go to the next tweet.
If your dad tells you like we're going to Disneyland and then he takes you to the dentist, and then he's like psych, you're like, what the fuck? Why did you even do this in the first place? Like, this one I really didn't understand. Like, I usually think like Steve, Jack, and Andy, like their banter is funny and it adds more to the league, and I love seeing it. This one I just wasn't a really big fan of.
Yeah.
All right. So Steve, tweet number 1 of the week. Tweet number 2 coming from the man that he's going to play against, POB. Let's take a look. All right, so Eugene Park, notorious POB. TL too scared to pick TSM because they know they'll get clapped out. We'll beat them in 4th place we'll beat them anyways and show them they rightfully belong in 4th place. Poe, not one to shy away from making a quote like that, but I feel like hasn't done that in a very long time in a public arena. Plus, you know that this means something for him because he was the one that got replaced on the roster, and actually, I think this is common knowledge. TL offered him a contract verbally, and then Jensen became available, and then they removed the contract from Pobe, and then he had to go find another home. So it was not only just a you moved on, but kind of like not a great look there.
Yeah, it was not a nice breakup for Pobelter, and he's not the one to usually shit talk, but I love him stepping up and kind of shit talking and being like, yeah, like you guys fucked me over, I'm gonna try to fuck you over. You guys rightfully deserve 4th.
I mean, it's just not gonna happen though. Realistically, like they're just gonna lose. So it's like hyphy. I respect it, but it's just not. It's just, like that's just not happening. It's just go next. Like maybe next split they improve a little bit, and then they take like 2 games off TL instead of 1. Who knows?
But this is like the good kind of trash talk. I love seeing stuff like this, and it makes the match more hype. And props to Poe for actually saying this shit.
Yeah, I wish him the best, but you have to agree with Dom here.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
I do. It is funny though. It is funny though, Dom, because it sounds like you're coming off like a team Liquid agent, real hard. Not happening. I mean, not even gonna entertain.
I mean, I just can't see it happening. Like, what am I supposed to lie? Like, in what universe do they actually like beat TL? Like, what, oh my god!
Clip it, y'all.
it might like if it happens, it's like the biggest TL like failure ever, right? Like it doesn't have anything to even do with FlyQuest. It's not gonna even be like, holy shit, FlyQuest is so good they beat TL. It's gonna be, holy shit, what the fuck happened to this team?
Don't set those stakes so high. Now all of a sudden Loco's salivating. The biggest Team Liquid failure ever? Yeah, now it's no longer me.
Yeah.
Dude, the biggest TL failure is almost getting relegated.
Yeah, season 7. That's it for sure.
Oh man, you got double lift on your team though. That was pretty huge. Good PR boost. All right, so Pobe, no one giving him a shot for this one. We'll check back on this one next week. And our last one comes from our very own IWillDominate. Let's take a look.
Which one is it? Please tell me it's the Mo one.
Nah, dude, it is the Rat IRL one. Last time I bet on a vertically challenged steroid user with a deformed head. What was this? Explain this for everyone.
What do you mean? I bet on Tyler 1, and yeah, I mean, I learned my lesson, dude. If somebody is vertically challenged, uses steroids, and's head has like 4 different craters in it, they're not trustworthy. Like, you cannot trust a player like that to win a game. There's not enough room for brain when you have all those cavities and shit in your head. It's just not. Like, it's just not possible.
Isn't there just brain in those cavities? It's so big, it's like protruding from different areas.
No, it's the indentation are actually just like craters for information that could be there, but it's not. It's like that right there is like Tyler's laning. Like one of those dents is like, oh, there was the laning. It would have been right there, but instead you got a hole.
Dude, he tried so hard too. I was surprised that Tyler lost.
Really? Yeah, I was pretty surprised that he lost too.
I think who's the dummy here, Dom? Is it the dummy or the guy that bet on the dummy? And I think
he should have won though. Like that's the thing. It's like it's so much easier for him to win from that perspective than it is for Mo. Like if you look at like the beginning of the bet, right? He plays 80 carry. He was playing other 80 carries in Challenger. He wasn't even playing Draven. He was like 6 wins, 14 losses on Draven, and then everything else he was playing like Kai'Sa, and he was winning high Challenger games, right? And then he goes and he suddenly like forgot how to play the game. Like he just started tilting. He got like ridiculously like butthurt over like random people like doing bad in his games, and he just started soft inting like every other game. Like he actually just mentally lost this himself. It had nothing to do with like skill level, I think.
I do think Mo has way better mental than Tyler. Tyler probably is the better player, but Mo is way more mentally solid. And when you do see Mo tilt on stream, I feel like a lot of that is just
acting.
Acting, where Tyler inting and Tyler like tilting is real, because he'll do that off stream too.
This is what I did with Tyler's stream. This is how I figured it out. When you go to Tyler's stream, you can tell whether he's gonna win or lose his next game by how slouched he is in his chair. So like I went to his stream, and this is literally what I saw. I saw him like this, and I knew from this moment it was fucking over. It was literally fucking over when I saw him like this in his chair. It's like, okay, just go next. I just sent Rat IRL the money right there. That's how that shit works.
All right. So that is those are our tweets of the week. We'll be doing this one every week. Quick hits as we close things out. Guys, any last thoughts before we close out the day?
Nah. Daniel, why were you almost late for the show?
I was not almost late for the show. Hey, everyone. If you want to know who was actually late, go look at reputable Lisa Doan, the Lisa Doan on Twitter, and you can figure out who missed their engagements. It was not myself and not Dom. We are responsible young men.
Wait, if it's not you, if it's not me and not Dom, then who is it?
I didn't put you in that category, Loco.
I see.
Responsible one doing things last night. All right, guys. Thank you so much for our episode here on FaceCheck. That's episode 2. Make sure you tune in next week, same time, Monday, 8 a.m. PST, to get you through your commute, get you over the hump. Thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys next week.
Peace.